Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so here we are at the MBT Book Club. Today we will be looking at the trilogy, three chapters, chapters 87 to 89, 87, 88, 89. And then in book three, those are chapters 15, 16, and 17. Before we get
Yes.
started, we'll set the intention. Our intention is to all come together and collectively hold compassionate, loving space for each other. So we really create a safe environment for all of us to just accept one another, to encourage and to support each other, and really seek to understand each other so that we get a big picture perspective of the material that we're looking at today. So no judgment. If any judgment does come up, let's catch ourselves, be aware of that judgment, recognize that that judgment says more about us than it does about the person you see, and then transform it into a love and compassion thought. All right, let's do a check-in. What did you guys think of this material? Daniel, what did you think?
I loved it. It was there's another side of Tom here. I think he was much more humorous in these chapters than the previous chapters.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed reading his humor.
Yeah, totally. Nadine, what about you?
Yeah, same thing exactly as Daniel. I really enjoy them, and I enjoyed his humor. He's just like unbelievably different kind of humor. But I really, yeah, I enjoy them, and they were kind of easy and pleasant to read as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm always comparing to the technical ones before, so.
Right.
So yeah, that was like a breeze almost.
Yeah, for sure. And how about you, Mal?
Yeah, the same. I love Tom's sense of humor. Really, it's so it's so precise and so I don't know. I really love it. But I also found some very like in some phrases he encapsulates so much of what he talks about in all the trilogy, and he summarizes some very important concepts too. And I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. What do you think, Gail?
Well, as I said earlier, I think I started at the right time.
Yeah. Good.
Yes.
And towards the end of the book. I mean, I have read all three books, but I went through them quite quickly. So I've been rereading, from here and there, kind of sporadically. So, yeah, so I kind of have the big picture of the trilogy. But yeah, so I enjoyed these ones. They were an easy read and humorous and provided some insight and maybe some direction of where to take the theory. And I liked his discussion of the usual pitfalls of what people do with the information, and and how he clarified. I'm not sure if it was the first three chapters, and maybe the fourth chapter. Why the entertainment value of the information, how he could go more into his experiences in non-physical reality and the different beings he's met, and how, as far as he's concerned, that would be purely entertainment, not really have a lot of value. And so, yeah, it was interesting to hear that. I'm always wanting him to do more. So.
Yeah, we all are. We like to be entertained, right?
Well, entertainment isn't Tom. I do get it too, that he wants us to have our own experiences and do our own tasting of the pudding. So,
yeah.
Gail, can I just ask you, how did you come to know Tom? Is it like Vanessa through his seminar and things like that?
Yeah, well, I was helping to promote Tom last summer when he was here in Vancouver in August. Through my job, I was doing a little bit of promotion of the event, and so I was invited to go to the event, and I didn't know anything about Tom, but I really, really connected with him and the information on that day. So since then, I've been all about Tom in my reading and my, research of things.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's jump in. Did anybody have anything highlighted on the first page, the introduction to section 6?
How about you, Vanessa? And your
Oh yeah, how about I think about it?
your take?
It was great. It was so easy. So easy.
So easy. Right?
I really struggled through the last step. It was hard for me to focus and concentrate. But this, I just breezed right through. Read it all in one sitting in like a half an hour. It was, and I was laughing and having fun, and it was great. So the first paragraph there, I had the last sentence, second to last, the two last sentences. So learning begins when you are capable of appreciating your ignorance enough to ask a question and care about the quality of the answer. When you know or believe you know the right answer, learning is not possible. That has...
Where is that, Vanessa?
Where is that?
Where are you?
The first
Chapter
paragraph.
16?
Yeah, the very first paragraph, the last two sentences. The introduction.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. No, it's me. I'm confused. I was in chapter 16 instead of the introduction. All right. That's okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
All right. I don't know what's going on.
That line right there, though, learning begins when you're capable of appreciating your ignorance enough to ask a question and care about the quality of the answer.
Mm-hmm.
That has stood with me since I read that a few days ago. I've really been doing my best to put that in practice, to really start to listen. And oftentimes, I do this a lot. My ego feels like it knows everything, and what the hell do you... Like, my ego does that. And so I often don't really listen to other people to the depth of which I could be listening.
Right.
I don't open myself up enough to really learn from every person, every opportunity. Reading that really hit home for me, in that now, I ask a lot of questions. Now, if I ask a question, I really want to hear what the person has to say. I really want to connect with them. I really want to learn from this moment.
I highlighted the same thing, Vanessa, and it's the same thing because that's what we find is every time I would say, "Oh, I know this." That's it. You lose the opportunity to learn something about it.
Exactly.
That's the problem. That's the problem, and we do that like how many times a day? Because otherwise, we'll be learning. Like, can you imagine? We'll be learning all the time. But then today, because of our discussion of judgment, I find also that our judgment, in a sense, stop our learning. Because if you say, "Oh, this person is like that," I don't, this is it. So you don't really necessarily want to find out why she said this, or you judge her, right? She's whatever your judgment is, and you don't stop to find out more about her. So you're actually not learning. Judgment also stops you from learning, because you made in your mind an idea of whatever the person, the event, or the situation is. You already judge it. You already said, "Okay, this is not for me." Let's say, you know what I mean?
Totally.
So I realize that in judgment there is also a part that we are losing the opportunity to learn more about whatever it is that we are judging. So it's interesting, but I had the same highlight just at the very, very beginning. When you know or believe you know the right answer, learning is not possible. And that's, for me, I think I do a lot of that. So now, I have some awareness, at least.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had those two sentences highlighted as well, and I loved it so much I even posted those two sentences on.
Oh, did you really?
On this Facebook group that where I belong with a whole bunch of coaches.
Nice.
And
wow.
That's I think one of the key concepts of coaching is that you have to ask the questions, and care about the responses that you get from them. That's how you learn, so that you're able to help them out. Right? If you think you know all about them, you don't know anything about coaching.
Right. Wow,
Yeah.
we highlighted the same thing. We must be in the same club or something. We're all in this.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Did you guys have anything else on that first page?
Well, I also like the last sentence of the second paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
A quality answer is one that is part of your personal solution without also being part of your personal problem. I think that's interesting because he even personalized what the quality answer is. So I don't know, what is your take of that? Because I have my take, but I don't think that's everything that he wanted to say. So I'm curious to know what you guys, when you listen to this, what does it tell you? What is he telling us?
To me, what I got from that is that I know what my solution is right now, but in order to get a deeper solution, I have to go outside of my circle to get that. And that's through asking questions, asking other people, to create a greater awareness for myself. So then I can go get a better or a better quality answer for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing that comes to my mind is that Einstein quote, which is,
Yes.
you cannot solve a problem from the same level of thinking or consciousness that created the problem in the first place. So if I'm operating from this level of awareness, this level of consciousness, I won't be able to get the solution to whatever problem I'm facing. I need to elevate my level of consciousness, get outside of this awareness.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I think maybe it also sort of speaks to an aspect of clear seeing or self-perception, like when he says a personal solution without also being part of your personal problem. I mean, because if the answer is also part of your personal problem, it isn't really an answer. It's just kind of perpetuating some illusion or something. So yeah, I don't know, something there.
It's deep. It is a deep sentence, that I know that. You know, there's a lot of depth in this just little.
Yeah, like making sure that the solution isn't coming from your ego. Because the ego is part of the problem, right?
I think that's what he's saying, that the solution is not an answer to an ego thing. Yeah. I think that's exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
That you elevated, right? That's, yeah. Because it's if it answers your ego needs, then it's not, yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting too.
Okay, anything else from that page?
Well, I didn't do any highlighting because I didn't know that was the process. So just so.
Okay, that's okay. You'll have stuff to say. We highlight a lot, so.
Well, you know, Gail, it's because this is an easy chapter to read, but the other one we needed to highlight a few things because we were kind of lost for the rest. So it was anchoring us actually a lot. Yeah.
So nothing else on the first page there?
Nope, not for me.
Not for me.
Okay, how about the next page over? I had the second paragraph there, the second point, where he says, after some initial excitement, forget about the picture. It is too big to do anything about anyway. The ideas presented, though intellectually interesting, will naturally drift away as you pour yourself into the next activity and the next one after that. So he's basically, this chapter or this paragraph, he's talking about now what? Like, what do we do now? Now we know the meaning of life. Like, what do you do with that, right? Yeah. And then he's offering some ideas. But it is really so big that, like, what do you do with it, you know?
Yeah, and elsewhere, I don't know, I'm not sure which chapter it is, he kind of speaks to the overwhelm of it all. Like, once you realize it's a virtual reality and consciousness so big and it's all nested, and you know, so many possible levels of reality and different realities. It's so big. How do you put that into your everyday circumstances and make it practical? And you know, it can easily lead to overwhelm and apathy, because it's just like, well, it's a virtual reality, nothing really matters anyway, nothing's real, so I'm just gonna, you know, live for the moment or something. Yeah. So yeah, that's certainly one way that it could go for folks too, if it's after reading all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, it could go that way for sure. It could lead to apathy, and it can also lead to motivation, knowing that, okay, this is a virtual reality that we've constructed as an entropy reduction trainer, and we know that we're here to do work, and that work is to grow up and get rid of our fears. So awesome, now I know the rules of the game, and I can apply myself and start doing that, right? It goes either way, depending.
Well, I think we all get that. But, you know, I can see how some others might not necessarily. That's why the groups are so important, I think.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, I think you know, of course, when you read it, it's overwhelming and all. But I think bring it up to what can I do in my own, you know, reality, and it's all tied anyway, because when you work on your consciousness, well, you are helping the whole consciousness, right? So I think you know, because it's the same thing, you know, every time you go into, oh, well, this is too big, you know, I can't come. And he said that you don't try to understand it, because it's not, you know, it's more because the changes will happen on a being level, right? So I think the more you work on yourself and on your consciousness, the helpful it is to everybody. Anyways, that's my take on it. And also, once you work on your level of consciousness, it helps you indirectly or unconsciously or at the same time work on your purpose. Right. Because throughout all,
I see these phrases as a warning to not let go of the real thing, because we've been learning all these mostly through the intellect, and it's obvious that he's suggesting to be aware in every moment that you're not getting distracted by the PMR things. You have to do them, but not only them, and not by the intellect itself, which could say, oh, I'm satisfied now, I know what this is all about, and I know this is all fractals, and oh, okay, I'm very good, and let it go. But I wanted to share something with you regarding this point, guys, that I was also involved in the past in the study of the authentic Kabbalah. Well, the Kabbalah, maybe if you're familiar with it, it has had very distorted branches through history. And I found my way to a group in which we studied the authentic ancient Kabbalah, which has nothing to do with magic and things like those. And it's very, very aligned with Tom's teachings. Very, very aligned. Absolutely, from my point of view. Although it is written, has been translated to English, Spanish, French, whatever, the metaphors that they use and the way that they approach all these, it was not the most adequate for me. I think it's mostly for right brain persons. And the metaphors and all they use were very difficult for me to get. So I found in Tom's teaching the way, the right word for me. But all this is to come to the point that what in Kabbalah is told is that once you have this, they call it the point in the heart. And the point in the heart, this metaphor refers to this desire or this impulse to go, to evolve to a next level of consciousness. And they do a warning as well, because they say once that point in the heart has popped, you can't make it disappear. So what is going to happen is that if you don't work, if you don't do your inner works, and you get again distracted only in the PMR things or in intellectual things, you will have a miserable life. Because it's going to be there. It's not going away. So, well, maybe this is what Tom is trying to give us a warning as well. Hey, you can't let it go at the end of the day, because it will be there, that desire to evolve. And if you put it aside and say, oh, no, I'm very busy now with my new car and the vacations and whatever, and all those things, you will have a miserable life. So you better keep on working.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of overlap between the Kabbalah and MBT and Buddhism and Hinduism, Taoism. There's so much.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, it's he said, I think what you are saying now is at the end of, I don't know, that big paragraph, I guess the second paragraph, at the end he says, go energetically wherever that path might lead, become a pudding head on the path to true love. So you know, it's and it's like you said, you know, once you have tasted that, once you have done some work, you just can put it aside and say, okay, because anything else will not satisfy, like will not be for you what you kind of want to where you want to be. And so I really, that's what I got from that, you know, your personal pursuit of big truth. Whether I understand everything that Tom said about the big picture and what he kind of understand, no, but I do understand that.
Me too.
Yeah, so I think that's what you are saying. Once you are there, you can't go back.
Right?
Yeah.
It may seem that you can go back, but that's
you can, but you can't go back.
Well, just a little bit above that, in that same paragraph, he says, point number 5, he says, in a bubble bursting with fresh enthusiasm, you can decide to get someone, a book, class, seminar, or guru, to help you develop the results of your personal big picture understanding. Before going back to number 2, and number 2 was forget about the big picture. It's too big anyway. But I've actually seen this happen in that the person who introduced me to Tom's work and went and did the Monroe Institute with Tom, he afterwards went and he said, like, he's done so many personal development courses after that, trying to work out the big picture. And he says to me to this day, it's too friggin' big. He's like, I'm not ready for Tom's work. Like, I have a shit to do to get me there, but I'm not ready to be at Tom's level. So for some people it's like too far removed, I guess, for them.
Yeah, but Vanessa, is it because they are, I think for me, if I go on an intellectual level, I will feel that way. But it's very, and that's one of the things I think that Tom helped me with a lot, is to distinct, because I didn't even realize that until he talked so much about it, that, it doesn't really matter. It's just you have to work on your being level. And that was of the big takeout that I had from Tom, first with our MBT meetup and after with this book club. I think that's a major thing. And if you don't, for me, if I didn't realize the difference, I would be totally overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because I would try to understand it intellectually, and it's just,
Yeah, what could happen, guys, is that for people who experience this kind of not going on with the work, that's perfectly fine. And I think that Tom's warnings are very pertinent. But probably what will happen is that, as Vanessa was mentioning, the only thing is that a person not following or not going on with the work is just postponing. just really postponing the thing. Probably it's just an idea that I have, that your ego can tell you, oh no, you cannot go there, and
Yeah.
it's so high for you, and
Yeah.
you're just postponing, because at the end of the day, I think that it will come back. It will come back. Just
When
like,
you are more ready,
When
right?
they're ready.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
one of
when
the
you
key
are
things
ready.
is that
Can you
a lot
guys
of
hear me?
people who pick up the book, they aren't ready for it, or they'll attempt to read this and it doesn't make sense to them at all.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Yeah, for sure.
motivation to continue reading, and so it's okay because it's not what Tom says profitable for them.
Yeah. Everybody comes to it when they're ready. Gail, you wanted to share something, I think?
Yeah, I just wanted to. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
Okay. Because I'm seeing everybody highlighted when they're speaking. Oh, now I'm highlighted. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I was just, I was really happy that Tom addressed, some of the potential pitfalls of, being introduced to the trilogy, and especially because we can anticipate in the future that a lot of very left-brain people are going to be exposed to his work through the experiments and just through greater publicity and exposure of Tom's work. I can see that as a major pitfall for a lot of those folks, is it will just take them deeper and deeper into their intellect and into the mental concepts, and perhaps not, and they may miss Tom's main point, which he gets to. The whole point is to grow in love, to bring it to the level of the heart, and to begin, applying, practicing, and
Yeah.
and so, as a lifelong yoga teacher and meditation teacher, that's been my thing. And I've certainly seen lots of folks try to approach the spiritual path from a purely intellectual point of view. And, it's challenging because there's a lot of wheel spinning that goes on, the disconnect around, well, what do you really mean about authentic being, and
Right.
how do I connect with my heart, how do I live from that place, because culture is focused on the intellect primarily, and not that data.
Yes.
So I think, as people, so I think that's something, as we, as we're forming groups and sort of pioneering the work in a sense, to anticipate, and I think we are, and Vanessa, what you've been doing in getting the groups together and providing the tools, because as Tom says in this book, it's not an appropriate vehicle to provide the tools with which to, pursue some of the more inner work, through the meditation and the spiritual journey.
Yeah.
So maybe some will write a workbook or something, or some of us will write a workbook or something, but it seems to me that that's going to become increasingly important, is because otherwise the overwhelm could so easily set in, and people will just it is.
And that's what I said to Tom on the first time I met him, was I'm like, I want to create I said a guidebook to help people lower their entropy. And he's like, go for it. And then I've been stumbling with that because, like he says, it's not an intellectual thing. So it's not a recipe, that you just, here, do this, and then you'll reach spiritual enlightenment.
It's a process.
That's what my friend who introduced me to this said. He's like, that's great. Like Tom always says, become love. But like, how the fuck do you do that? He's like, I need to go and take all these other courses so I can figure out how to get rid of my fears. But again, it's in the intellect. It's like, you don't figure it out. You just have that intent and then let that lead the way. Really, it's cultivating that intent, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to the book. There was the next paragraph here.
But can I just say something, Vanessa, before we move on? What you have done, actually, not the guidebook, but to create the MBT meetup groups. I think that is really the most helpful thing, because I think just reading the book, I don't think I would have been where I am now just by reading a book, but because for a year or even more, I've been going to the one, you were hosting.
Yeah.
And that's, by presenting little by little some of his, big toe, right? But in little pieces, the main thing, and then allowing everybody to discuss it, to get insight in it, actually is the best, I find, preparation to read his work and to realize that shift, from to the being level, instead of what Gil was saying, is that we approach it and at the beginning I was approaching it like that in the group that you were doing, but with my intellect, and it took me a while before realizing. And I think if you want to spread the message and help people, I think starting by the group is a good place, from my experience. I don't know about you guys, but from my experience, then starting with Tom's book, frankly.
Yeah, I agree. And that's.
And Vanessa, I don't think you have to write the guide. I think you are the guide, because you've got us on board.
Yeah.
Because we would never have done this
Yeah.
if you didn't start it. And now that you have these on YouTube, look at all the other people you can reach out to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think the more groups are gonna, come out of that, I think will help a lot. Anyways, so I thought, because it's more like an experiential, not like the experiential that you did, but it's more an experience where people kind of discuss and get insights.
Yeah, and that's a really good example of that. It wasn't this idea like, okay, we'll do this, and this, and that'll help us grow up. It was just something that happened based on having an intent to want to grow. Then out came these groups, right? And everybody who shares this intent wanted to be part of it, and are starting their own groups, and
we're all tasting the pudding.
We're all tasting our pudding.
How is your taste so far, Daniel?
my level of consciousness has increased significantly since reading this thing. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's what Tom says too, is you can't make someone grow up. All you can do is create a safe space for them to grow up themselves. And that's what we're doing, right? That's what we're doing. So
Right.
So there is one part in here, there's this one line, and it really kind of sums it up. It's the next paragraph. So it's like the last paragraph on this page. In the middle, the paragraph starts, any of the above choices.
Yes.
And then it's like a second sentence, he says, you make choices, and the choices you make you.
Yeah.
And
I highlighted that too.
I highlighted that too. We're all in the same boat, guys. It's amazing.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's what it boils down to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a reflection of that technical stuff that talks about the fractals, and this is the fractal. You make choices, and the choices you make you.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
There's that feedback mechanism there, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's amazing. And I like also when he said, all individuals are equally important and valuable, and all choices are valid steps along your path of being. So this is the last sentence at the end of the same paragraph. And I think that's
the last part. It says whether you know what you're doing or not.
Yeah. But that's important again, because because you are on one path and you think, okay, this is a good one. Well, it's a good one for you. It's not for everybody. And so I think that's important not to forget.
Yes, and to remember too that all choices are valid, and we learn from all our choices. Like even the choices that seemingly in retrospect seem to have been wrong or have been a mistake, that we learn through our mistakes as well as our successes.
I think as long as you're aware that you've made the wrong mistake and ask you, what did I learn from this? And instead of blaming people,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, anything else from this chapter?
No.
Ready to move on to chapter 88. I can't believe I read the whole thing, Uncle Tom.
I like his titles.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
This is a funny chapter.
Oh, that's the one that I laughed the most.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
anything
so
on the
funny.
Did you have anything on the first page?
Well, I just, you know, when he talks about all those people with all those letters at the end of their name, I mean, I understand that. And so the first sentence of the last paragraph, appearing impressive, is something you should always carefully avoid. So that was kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the things I love about Tom is his humility, you know, even though
Yeah.
he's presenting,
Yeah.
you know, life-changing kind of concept and change in our worldview. He's very humble and, you know, I think he constantly points out how our ego creates like enlightenment traps for us, you know, creating big heads and appearing to have all the answers and, you know, all of that. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And he knows better than anyone how hard you work to get all those letters after your name, right?
I love that sentence there. When I was reading it, it says, "Dear Uncle Tom, yes, IMS." I go, "What's IMS?" And then URD. What's URD? And then reading the next sentence is like, you know, such S with stupid and D for dumb. And then I read it again. Yes, okay, I am stupid, you are dumb. I had a nice chuckle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, when I was reading that, I was laughing. And you know what's important that I think, you know, I realize is that you can have all the letters and the names and be very successfbut it's the way you go about it, right? If you believe that this is you and it's just your ego, but if you're able to laugh at yourself because maybe you are I don't know, a famous doctor or researcher and you love what you do and you help people and you have all those names, but it doesn't matter if you know you're the observer and you see it to yourself, but you don't take yourself so seriously. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you don't have to go and pursue all the things that you love and you pursue. And I think he's talking about that a bit later. And I really like that you can still live in this reality and in this pure more in our physical world. You don't have to detach yourself from it. You can live here fully and at the same time be evolved. And I think that's really important because there's always maybe for the right brain, you know, like, and that's why maybe, you know, I'm not attracted necessarily to the right or very right brain kind of philosophy. It's because it always seems like, you know, it's you've got to leave everything that you like and just, you know, search for enlightenment or whatever, you know, the way they present it. And that doesn't resonate with me. And he's just, you know, so right about that anyways, for me. Yeah. That you can be fully here, fully absolutely present, and at the same time, you know, your consciousness, and you see that. You see people who are very successful and wrapped up in their ego, and others who are not like that.
Yeah. When I see people with all these titles behind their name and you know, like professors or doctors or, you know, all these titles, all I look at is, okay, you're a knowledge seeker and that's all you are. But what experience do you have? What practical experiences do you have? Those are the questions I ask all these people.
Yeah.
I think that's where the truth is, right?
Yeah, it's like saying knowledge is important, but character is more important.
Yeah.
Right? That's exactly it. Yeah. You know, and Tom, I don't know where in the chapter talks about that, and I finally said, "Oh, okay." You know, that's why I really like him. Anyways.
I think part of the task, you know, whether you're a right brain or a left brain or however you categorize yourself, is to connect both the head and the heart, because they both have a value and they're both important. And I mean, the heart being even more important than the intellect, in my opinion, you know, because that's where our experience of love, you know, comes from. Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, it's causing us to question, you know, what it is that we value most in our society. What are the priorities, you know? You know, is a Mother Teresa who, you know, built her life around, you know, loving service, you know, more evolved than, you know, she probably didn't have much education. She probably didn't have letters behind her name, but she certainly seemed very evolved in terms of the path of love, you know?
Right. Yeah. But I like, Gail, what you said, that he connects us as head and heart.
Yes.
And because we're not just our head, we're not just our heart. So he does that. And I think that's,
yeah. He does a good job of that. Yeah.
He does a good job.
Yeah, that was a good example. Just going to bring it back to the book. So moving over on the second page of chapter 88. Right at the top, so the second paragraph there, he said, "It is important that you do not take the attitude that serious progress along the path of knowledge is only available to the special few." Right. So I think that's kind of been portrayed throughout history, that, you know, only Jesus, only Buddha, only Gandhi, like only these select few are able to obtain spiritual enlightenment or to be highly evolved beings. But really, it's not only those select few. It's actually everybody can get there. Everybody. That's our purpose. That's our job, is to evolve our quality of consciousness, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
And he's saying to begin wherever you are, like sort of like the Nike ad, you know, just do it.
Right. Yeah.
Come up with so many excuses. I mean, I've encountered this, you know, training yoga teachers. It's like I've met so many people who have taken training after training after training in preparation to actually teach a class, and for certain of them, they get caught in this trap of thinking they never know enough, they never have enough knowledge, they never have enough experience, they never have enough, you know, practical know-how.
Not ready.
So they never actually begin. They're perpetual students, you know. And you know, for those who can just kind of jump right in wherever they are and begin applying whatever knowledge and experience they've acquired to that point, then, you know, they seem to be happier and more successful, because then you learn as you go, and life shows you what you do, where you need to fill in the blanks and where the gaps are in your learning as you go. So we can fall into that trap of being a perpetual student and thinking that, like you said, enlightenment is beyond us. We have to be enlightened first before we can actually apply it to our own lives, and that certainly is a pitfall.
Yeah,
it could be.
I'm just going to give a little sneak peek, because Gail, what you're saying is in chapter 90, I know we didn't read that, but I did, because I was like, so.
I read it already too, so.
Yeah, right. So then he shares, he's like, whenever you feel like you can't do it, just sing this rap in your head. Just go do it now. That's all there is to it. Wow. Just go do it. You don't need to know it. And so you don't need to know how.
You should hear him on the audiobook.
Oh, he sings it on the
Sings it. It's hilarious.
So I have like quotes around my house, and I have one here where it's like, always have fun and just go do it. You don't need to know how. Right? And I said that to my friend, the one who introduced me to MBT, and I'm like, like, just go do it. You don't need to know how. And he was like, no, Vanessa, no. I need more than that. I need to know. I need to read this book. And so for some people, it's not that simple, right? Like it's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
For sure.
I think you know, I mean, the power of the groups that you've started, Vanessa, is that people really get the love element, you know, the unconditional love, the non-judgment, the kind of environment for sharing that is created really helps people connect with the heart. And I think that's a really, really important piece. Like if we do nothing else, if we can help one individual to connect with their heart and, you know, grow in self-love and awareness, then that's so much bigger than any amount of, you know, intellectual understanding of Tom's book or, you know, any of the rest of it. I think that's really
I agree.
supreme value, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So having that intent in the groups, I really appreciate that aspect.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like how Tom really talks about how, like, the approach that he's taking is I'm one of you, kind of like we're all one and the same, you know? And so the third paragraph in this chapter, it's only 2 sentences, this paragraph. He says, placing others on pedestals is non-productive and making you feel less competent by comparison. I really like that because I do this with Tom a lot. And it's nice that I feel more, the more I hang out with him or I meet him in person, the more I feel like it's like we're friends, and it's not like he's this guru, you know, he's just like a buddy of mine. And that's important because when we see somebody on a pedestal, when I see him as like a guru, then it's like, oh, I could never be like that. Like that's so, he's so amazing, but I'm just down here on this little incompetent human being that's fumbling around, you know. But if I see him like a friend, then I'm kind of like, yeah, he's my buddy. Yeah, we're like the same. We're both source and we're both playing games in virtual reality. Yeah. We hang out, we're buddies. So it's a different feeling.
Hey,
Yeah, you know, on that subject too, I've heard it said that, you know, when you're putting someone on a pedestal like that, you're recognizing the seed of something that also lives inside of you. So because it lives inside of you, the seed recognizes the flower. So it recognizes the full blossoming of whatever it is in Tom, you know, that you're recognizing. So, you know, when that happens, I think I like to put it back to the other person. If you yourself are being put on a pedestal, it's kind of like, well, it takes one to know one, you know. You would be recognizing qualities in me if you didn't also have the same qualities.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I wonder if it's not fear that makes us
for sure.
Because when you put somebody on a pedestal, that means that I'm comparing myself to them, and they're up here, I am down here. So does this more reflective fear that I have to look deeper in, like, you know, because like you said, Gil, it's, if I recognize it, it means it's in me. So you know what's going on, you know, something kind of to ask yourself, right?
Well, it's a form of lack because you don't have that quality that you want from the other person, and comparing creates that fear in you.
It's that inadequacy.
Exactly.
I found a rap in Audible. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Just go do it. Do it now. That is all there is to it. Wow. Just go do it. You don't need to know how. If you can swing that to a funky beat while you play the imaginary.
You have it so fast.
That's good.
Yeah.
I've never heard the
Audible.
I've never seen that. Is so much fun.
Daniel has it on the fast speed though, right?
Yeah, it's 1.3.
Yeah, this is very fast.
It's 30% fast. So I could slow it down if you want.
Just a little bit if you can replay it, but a bit slower, that would be good. That's very fast, I guess.
The audio version is available on the webpage.
Okay, here we go again.
Okay.
Just go do it. Do it now. That is all there is to it. Wow. Just go do it. You don't need to know how. If you can sing that to a funky beat.
That's Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
So
Just go
true
do it.
though, right?
That is so good.
Like we think we have to be ready, and I am so guilty for this. I'm always want to be ready and for some things that I want to do. But if we realize the whole point of us being here is for us to practice, stumble and fall and get back up and improve and try again. The whole point of us being here is to try different things and learn. We don't, so us wanting to be perfect and that perfectionism can go on and on to the point where it's debilitating and we don't even attempt. If we don't even get started because we're like, oh, I'm not ready yet. And then you're never friggin' ready,
Yeah.
Well, one of the mentors I follow is T. Harv Eker, and he always have, people always go ready, aim, fire, but when they actually do it, it's like, I want to get ready, and then I'm aiming. They never fire because they're always aiming and getting ready and aiming. But what he teaches is ready, fire, aim. So you get ready, you fire. Oh, it's in the wrong spot. Let's reposition. Let's aim again and fire. Oh, it's in the wrong spot. Let's aim another point. Fire again. Right. So it's taking action, start doing things to figure out where you're wrong or what you've done wrong, and then reconfigure yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Also trust yourself because like so starting this nonprofit that we're doing, I don't know the first thing about doing this, and I ask for advice and I hear all these different opinions and ideas and I'm like, if I let myself get lost in everybody else's opinions, I won't even move forward and take any action. So I'm just like, you know what? I feel like I should do this. I'm going to go do it. Even if 10 people are saying don't do it and 5 people are saying do this instead and nobody's saying you should do it, I trust myself and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do this.
Love it.
And if it doesn't work out, I'll learn and I'll do something different, right? So,
that is so good because you're not listening to your fear, but to your intuition, right?
Yeah.
Because usually, the fear is tell us not to do it. But if you feel like doing it, this is your intuition, you follow it. And the thing is, and for me, that's an issue because I have to be super ready before I do anything. And I'm realizing why I am like that. Oh boy, I lost what I wanted to say. Sorry. Because it was related to what you are saying. Oh, and I think when you are, when I'm in that state, I'm just hearing to my fear voice and I'm not following, I can't hear my intuition, right? My intuition is telling me something and I'm not even hearing it because all I'm hearing is no, don't do it because it's not going to work and you're going to fail, right? And So you get overwhelmed by that voice if you let it, so you don't follow. So that's exactly what we should be doing. Vanessa, is what you said. Not hearing this, I'm going with my gut.
I like how you're taking action from the choices that you've created for yourself, not taking action because of the decisions. Right? Because when you've tried something and now that because it didn't work, you're going to try something else.
Yeah.
Right? Until you find what works, right? A lot of people who's tried something once, they said, "Oh, there's no point trying again." And
right.
Oh, right.
And so often, I think the biggest thing is we don't even try. We don't even begin because
it's too scary.
Exactly.
It's too scary.
Talk ourselves out of it.
Fear talks you out of it.
Yeah, and to celebrate those misattempts, like those sort of the failures as well as the successes, like whatever attempts we make in the right direction are leading us somewhere. We're learning from them as well. Not be afraid to make mistakes, I guess is what I'm saying, because
that's right. It's like absolutely. We're working on a youth program. Daniel's part of it. We had a meeting this week and I'm reaching out to all the schools, and then the one school I really wanted to get into was the first school to get back to me, and they're like, Vanessa, we're gonna have to say no to your offer. And I was like, yes, one no brings me closer to a yes. I felt like, it was really good that I'm actually playing the game instead of just avoiding rejection, right? So but I hear what you're saying. Celebrate those, Okay, so let's get back to the Anything else on this page before we go on to the next?
What page are we on?
756.
Okay.
So the second page in chapter 88, or chapter 16 for you guys. Nothing on that page?
No.
What about the next page over?
Yeah, I have one. I highlighted in the second paragraph of page 757.
Yeah.
The second paragraph, the last sentence, it resonated with me. Tom says, the quality and evolution of your consciousness is not dependent on the form of your physical existence. However, the quality of your physical existence depends absolutely on the quality of your consciousness. So, yeah.
I have that the same one. Yeah.
And yeah, very nice.
Yeah, that's the feedback, right? That's why we're here having these physical experiences, because they provide feedback that show us the quality of our consciousness.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know, we were talking about before when I was saying that you can be here in this physical reality and evolve. He just said it in his way. Which paragraph? The third paragraph. He said it starts with the form. The form of your material involvement with the local reality is not important. How you interact with that environment, how you relate with others, what you make of the available choices and opportunity, that is important. And that can be done anywhere under a wide range of circumstances that includes Western culture and lifestyles. So do not let these two belief traps discourage you from setting out on a quest to evolve the quality of your consciousness. That, I guess, having the right environment. So that's not what he says. But including Western culture and lifestyle, I think that was for me important to hear him say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the next paragraph too, the very last sentence, he says, successful learning does not flow from the right environment. The right environment flows from successful learning. The environment that is most important with regards to your growth is the one in your head. The appropriate physical environment will form on its own.
It's so interesting that what you have highlighted, I've got highlighted, and it goes for both of us too.
Yeah. So where is that one, Vanessa? Sorry, I
the very last paragraph, the very last sentence, and then it moves on to the next page.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have highlighted too. Okay, I see it now.
Yeah, it's exactly what we were just talking about earlier.
Learning. Yeah. The right environment flows from successful. Exactly.
Yeah. It's so simple. Like, it always comes back to it's intent. If we have that intent to want to grow, to want to evolve, everything else will manifest from that intent. It's cultivating that intent, right? Cultivating that intent. How do you cultivate that intent? That's kind of the thing that if I can, yes, we can create. I guess it is just through creating safe spaces for people to come and share their beliefs, share their ideas, and then cultivate that intent on their own, right? Yeah.
Well, I think that, the intent is a huge part of it, but also like the inner environment of the mind, to be paying attention daily, well, even moment to moment, to what's going on in our heads and in our own inner environment, and doing the, the mental housekeeping that is required. It's actual work to do that. It requires intent, and it requires taking action, on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment basis, to be self-aware and aware of our thought process, and where we're getting tripped up. Like somebody, I think in the group we were at in White Rock last time, Vanessa said, she catches herself thinking a negative thought, and now she's happy every time she notices she does this, like, take back.
example she does, yeah.
in a more positive way, like it's that kind of effort that is required. And it can be kind of elusive because we can look at the external circumstances of our life, like as most people do, and say, well, I need to take action there, I need to deal with this situation more directly, I need to, whatever actions we see we need to take in the world. But all of that is not primary. What's primary is our consciousness and what's going on inside our heads, and that's what's creating the other circumstances. So it's so non-materialistic, it can be very elusive for folks, that it's one, that it's really just that simple, but two, it's more difficult because it can be hard to see what's going on in your head, right?
Yeah, and if you don't do that, Gail, then you have a noisy internal environment. If you don't do that housekeeping or that, you have a lot of noise.
You want to declutter your mind so then you can allow more stuff to allow more stuff to come into your head and experience.
Well, and more bright stuff, versus all the nonsense that we get from television. Entertainment.
Yeah. Well, you definitely need the decluttering part, because I don't think you can really get in touch with your intuition if you have too much clutter in your mind.
Just too many filters in our head then.
Yeah, we need filters. That's a good one, Daniel. You physically see filter.
Yeah, and this is why meditation has been recommended for centuries, right? Yeah, exactly. To clean the mind.
Clear your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anything else on that page, guys?
Well, it's interesting, Daniel, because you clean everything every day. We clean everything, right? We take a shower, we clean, I don't know, whatever, the dishes, whatever. And it's on a daily basis, but how do we deal with our mind, right?
Right. That's been like
learning how to let go of things, right?
Yeah.
In Western culture, that's been the last thing, really. We look at to examine, right?
Yeah.
So, turning the priorities around,
How did the Western culture become more dominant than Eastern cultures?
Yeah, really. How'd that happen?
I don't know, by cleaning the physical environment, I guess.
Like your muscle, or something. I don't know. I don't know. The intent to go out and conquer the world, and I don't know.
Well, that's ego.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Because it's easier, I guess, to control your external environment than your internal environment.
Yeah.
Teaching-wise,
Controlling your inner environment means that you have to confront your fears, right?
Right.
Why? It's much harder to do that.
Yeah. No, nobody wants to do that.
Hard.
But there's a lesson in that too, because that I think is sort of relevant to what's happening today, because certain cultures that were more into meditation and maybe more right-brained and not in the materialistic realm of things, like indigenous cultures and maybe some of the Eastern cultures, you would think that because they were so in touch on the inner planes that they would have anticipated the danger of an invasion of the Spaniards, of whoever, of Western culture, and the impending sort of destruction. But in almost all cases, those indigenous cultures didn't seem anyway to notice the danger or to see the signs of what was coming, and that always has surprised me in a way. Maybe they did have some,
I think because they weren't conscious of it, because they were, say the Eastern culture, the indigenous culture, it was all about love, right? They didn't know everything about fighting, so that wasn't part of their environment.
Right.
Yeah.
But to me, had they been, perhaps they were too focused on their inner world and not noticing what was happening in the outer world. And for me, maybe that's a lesson that we can take into what's happening today is, you know, a lot of people anyway who are meditators and on a spiritual path have a tendency to retreat from the world and think, as long as I do my meditation, as long as I work on myself, everything out there is going to take care of itself. So I don't need to address the problems. I don't need to go out and, you know, protest or talk to my member of parliament or take action politically or, you know, deal with any of that negative stuff, as long as I'm doing my own inner work. And what I'm seeing, what life has been showing me, is that it takes both. It takes a balance of both, of like doing the inner work, but also taking action in the external world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because there are dangers, you know, there are pitfalls and dangers, and we don't always, if we're too caught up in the inner world, we don't notice them. We're not paying attention, and maybe we're a little deluded if we think, you know, that that's all it takes, you know. But yeah, I mean, I just noticed that trend a lot amongst my friends, and a lot of my friends are people who are in the spiritual path, and it really runs contrary to really ancient teachings, you know, like in the Hindu tradition and in the Bhagavad Gita about Arjuna the warrior, you know, the spiritual warrior, how he has to take up his sword and get in his chariot and actually go out there into the world and do battle in the world, do what it is that he's born to do, because it's in him to do. So to take his principles and his awareness and whatever it is out into the world, into the marketplace, if you wish, and to take action, to take some action that feels like right action. And then, you know, and to also let go of the consequences, because the consequences of our actions, you know, part of the teaching is that's not in our hands. That's not up to us, what the outcome of that battle is going to be, or whether people like what we do or don't like what we do, or follow or don't follow. Not important. You know, the important thing is that we've acted, and we've acted from some inner impulse, from some intent, you know, some wisdom. And yeah. So anyway.
I think you're right, Gail, on that. A lot of spiritual people are not as much, and that's why I like Tom, because he said you can be here plainly and fully in our physical world, you know, and still be, you know, evolve in consciousness and all that. And for me, what really came to me lately, that the one thing that is really good about what's happening in the world today on a political scene, especially in the States, is that all of a sudden I think a lot of people are getting the awareness that they need to be engaged and they need to vote when the time comes to express you know, that engagement, instead of what you are saying, being maybe disengaged and saying, well, politics, you know, it's not for me, doesn't affect me, I better stay into my, you know, bubble or whatever. And I think one of the things that came really very clearly I mean, from what I see it, is that I don't think people now will take that for granted, that they have to, if they want to see a different world that more aligned maybe with their views, they need to go out there and, no matter how spiritual you are, to be engaged and to vote, and not say, oh, you know, it doesn't matter. My vote doesn't matter anyway. It won't change anything. Yes, it will. So I think everything happens for a reason, and maybe that's what we needed to learn at this moment of history.
Yeah, and then respecting too everybody's own path, and if somebody chooses to vote and chooses not to vote, that's okay. Because again, it's never the act; it's always the motivation for why they do or not do what they're doing. I do want to be cognizant of the time because I have to leave right when we end to go pick up my daughter. So back on the book here, we're on page 758. Anything from that page?
No.
No? Okay.
Nope.
How about this? Oh,
I have only one thing. I don't know exactly which page we're talking about here because I'm not in the same.
Okay.
So I don't know where you guys are, but for me it's 171.
Okay.
So it's there is only one thing that if reading my big toe has caused you to grapple with your belief in the context of a larger reality and induce you to come to any helpful tentative conclusion about the quality and the purpose of your life, it has been a great success from my view. That and I think that's what we're saying is that as we evolved in our consciousness, I think it brings us way closer to our purpose.
Yeah. I agree. I just you're on page 759 in our book, Nadine. Just above what you had there, I had I guess the first paragraph of that book, the last 3 sentences. It starts from the perspective of PMR, the process of reducing entropy within your consciousness has many valid approaches. It is a naturally convergent process that will take you from wherever you are to where you need to be, regardless of what direction you initially take. If you are serious and persistent, you will eventually end up with the same result. Some paths are simply more or less efficient depending on the individual. And then the next paragraph, he says, the important thing is to start. You're understanding. And that's what we've all been saying is like, just do it. You don't need
Do it. I'm
Exactly.
hearing Tom now. Thank you, Daniel, for that. I'm hearing his voice now.
And then he goes on and says, your understanding does not need to be perfect as long as it is consistently and constantly converging on rightness. That your big toe enables you to focus your energy on the task of growing toward a higher quality of consciousness is a critical ingredient of eventual success.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah. Over on to the next page, so page 760. You guys have anything from there?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I highlighted the on that page in the second paragraph, the last sentence. That is page 760 in the trilogy, and in the last sentence he says, "I am forever pointing out the purpose of your existence and emphasizing the importance of your success in the little picture and the big picture." Oh. In fulfilling that purpose, and that you alone must assume full responsibility for your success or failure. I think, this was very, very clear for me because, especially the last part, that you alone must assume full responsibility for your success or failure.
Yep.
Wow. I like that.
Don't blame other people, right?
No. do your job, and I mean, do what you have to do, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like that.
Even just above that, he said that I emphasize repetitively that it is up to you to go out and get evidence for yourself and come to your own conclusions. There's that taste of pudding again, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then a couple paragraphs down, it's the second to last paragraph on that same page, the very last sentence. Growing up is something that no one else can tell you how to do.
Yeah.
Yes. And I had the other one right after that, Vanessa, your mother and your boss can tell you how to act, but only you can decide how to be. I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And a little further down, he says, getting into a learning process that is significantly ahead or behind your grade level is more counterproductive than helpful. Boredom and frustration are terrific inhibitors of actualizing potential.
Yeah.
Mass-marketed materials are not the right media effectively guiding an individual's personal growth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
When I was reading that part, I was thinking of the educational system. How all the kids they have to follow a specific program, but it's based on the teacher or the school district's program, right? But everyone learns at a different pace,
Yeah,
Mhm.
right?
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. That's
Yes.
that's what he goes on to talk about in the next chapter. He's like, I could tell you that I have all the knowledge and all the wisdom, and then I can sell you books and tapes and lectures and seminars and training courses. He's like, but there's no shortcut that minimizes the work that you must do on your own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I
But
like
how
that.
many of these people sell you these things and then on you having the hopes and promises of you becoming great,
Yeah.
but you don't take action, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then
Mhm.
that's funny because the last sentence here he says, promises of anything more are empty and generally made by those more interested in the quality of your bank account
Yeah.
than the quality of your business.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And that's what I like really a lot about Tom is I don't think not I don't think I know for sure he's not in it for the money, and a lot of people are, and that was gets discouraging at one point that they have kind of get there, or you think that they have worked on their consciousness, but then they're trying to build kind of an empire out of it. So
I've worked for companies like that, even though it seems like their main prerogative is to help people. They're in it for the money,
they're
unfortunately.
in it for the money, eh? Yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's just to no fault of their own because they don't know the rules of the game, right? So they're
Yeah.
playing the game that they think they're here to play. Until they know better, they can't do better.
Yeah.
yeah. And I know, Vanessa, you said that once, and I think it's true. They can be in it for the money, as I mean, not they can become rich in doing what they can do. It's okay as long as their intent and they really help people to grow. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I remember you said that. I don't know if it's last time or before, that it's okay to want to be rich. It's
Ah,
okay
yeah.
to want to be successful. This is not the point, but if at the same time you're really helping people, like you remember, Vanessa, when you said that a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're experiencing a material world, right?
Mhm.
Money is an actual thing here. We don't need to deny it. And we can pursue it and we can have a lot of wealth and abundance. But I think it's important to keep things in perspective too and always remember our true reason for being here, and that's to grow the quality of our consciousness, not to be rich and famous.
Yeah, but I think it depends, like, people, how you go by it, because if your aim is to become rich, that's different than if you are trying to help people and this is your mission and this is your purpose, and as you move along, at the same time abundance happens for you. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not that you are looking for abundance and richness. This is not your main purpose, but it just happened because you were open to it and you attracted it. Well, that's different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is also this aspect of, I think he uses the term empire building that can happen sometimes. Like it seems to me there are a lot of teachers out there who start off with the best of an intention. And I'm thinking of some very world famous ones and have a real message to share. But as they become more and more successful, their organization grows, their expenses increase in terms of the number of employees and the products and things that they begin to create, sell to the people who are following their work. Seems like this whole machine can develop behind something that started off with very pure intentions, and that And then that bottom line about, well, it takes so much money every month to finance this operation, you know, this organization, that pressure can really take over, I think. That, you know, I've seen that a lot, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, exactly. And how not to fall into that trap, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
I agree with you, Nadine, from
Oh, sorry, go
what
ahead.
I have understood. No, thank you. No, I was going to say that I agree with Nadine because for what I understand from the trilogy is that we really have two works now, not only one. Maybe before we had the work to do in PMR, and now we have the work to do in PMR and in non-PMR, or the spiritual side of the reality. But it's really both, because I absolutely agree that we couldn't even, for example, deny being rich or avoiding being rich or famous or whatever, because at the end of the day, what is, by being rich, what is it going to be revealed about your ego, and how are you going to learn and overcome it? Or being famous, or being poor, or whatever happens here is just to learn how to overcome your fear, and how to be better, have a better quality of consciousness. But yeah, I agree that you can choose to be poor and live under a bridge. You can choose to be rich. Anyway, you're going to learn. Of course, if you are in the path, you're going to learn. And I don't know, we shouldn't see that as something that is not right, or even we should avoid that, because we are so spiritual that the material part has absolutely no value. No, it has a lot of value. It's the one that is helping you reveal what you need to reveal in order to grow. I don't know if that's what you were thinking, Nadine.
Yeah, well, yeah, and also it depends what lesson is here to teach you, because some people will be a lesson for humility, right? For being in service, because it depends how you look at it. Because sometimes money enables you to be of great service without show off, right?
Mm-hmm,
But it
mm-hmm.
gives you certain power, certain influence that you can help, with organization, with foundation, depending on your mission that you feel is your mission, and you learn humility through it all. So it all depends on the lesson that it is there to teach, right? Maybe it's going to teach you to get rid of your ego, right?
Yes.
If that's an issue for you, to see yourself in others, you can have, people who are wealthy and embody that are usually very simple people, and they don't go around showing their wealth. They don't even live differently. You know what I mean? So it really depends what is there for you to take from it. And if you're not ready, maybe this is not the life you're going to lead, but it is there for a reason, right?
Yeah, that's a good point you guys made. That's definitely a really good point. So just bring it back here on that page here, 761.
Just before we go ahead, Vanessa, I'm sorry, I wasn't clear on what time we were ending, and I have a commitment to drive my daughter somewhere.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, like now, so
Okay.
I have to leave a bit early, so I apologize for that.
That's okay. Are you saying bye?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye.
Gil. It was great having you, Gil. I hope you continue with us.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank
Right.
you. That was
Yeah,
great.
Gil.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So the second paragraph here, he says, "My Big Toe is not a how-to book, nor is it an advanced tome on better living through physics and meditation. It is simply a Reality 101 survey course, just enough It's just enough information to get you started on your own adventure of discovery. Yeah.
Okay.
I had that, and for a long time I was frustrated with Tom because it was not a how-to-do book. But now I'm grateful that it's not. So I was laughing because I remember that. When is he going to give us something more practical? When is he? I guess I was learning a lesson here.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was laughing when I read this.
Did you guys have anything else on that page?
Nope.
What did I have? No, I had the same thing as you, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the next page over, I had the third sentence, the first paragraph, third sentence. Learning to be is necessarily an experiential process, not an intellectual process.
I have that too.
Yeah.
I guess Daniel has it too.
I got it too.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
me too.
yeah, it's kind of what we've been talking about this whole time.
Yes.
I like how he kind of demonstrates it in the next paragraph where he says, babies do not learn to walk or speak by thinking about it, being told about it, or logically analyzing it or having it explained to them. It only takes a dim glimmer of the possibilities and great courage and determination. So my big toe is trying as hard as it can to supply the dim glimmer. And you must supply the courage and determination. Yeah.
I have that too.
It's interesting. This paragraph was, I read this paragraph because I was in this coaching forum with my master coach, and someone had stated that a good friend of mine who follows a master coach thinks because she's followed her for so long she can call herself a coach. I'm thinking that is a profound statement. It's like I go see my chiropractor every 2 weeks for the last 10 years. That means I can go and manipulate some other patient. Right? Doesn't make sense, right? You have to have the experience. You got to do it. You got to learn and practice. Then you become good at it, and you get certified or whatever, and then you can practice on some other people.
Yeah, or otherwise you can kill them.
Yeah.
I mean.
I would not go to that chiropractor, that's for sure.
Yeah. So the next paragraph down in the the very last sentence, he says, there's no recipe, syllabus, or outline, book, or set of instructions that hold the answers for you because it's an intellectual exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, in the same paragraph, Vanessa, I had the three first sentences. Feeling frustrated because the solution is not one you can get an intellectual grip on or intellectually master is futile unless the frustration drives you to continue trying until you become a consciousness toddler. I like the consciousness toddler. I think that's exactly what I am.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. Well, we are the toddlers.
I mean, it's so, but it's so good, and he's so right because that's what happened. You are frustrated because intellectually you want to master it, and the minute you let go of that need, right, that's when you start becoming a consciousness toddler.
Yeah. Do you remember the Rugrats?
Yes.
Yeah, we are the Rugrats.
But it takes a while. I find that it takes a while to let go of that intellectual thing. Anyways, it's interesting.
The next page over, the second paragraph, the last two sentences, he says, embrace uncertainty.
Yes.
You cannot know where your path will take you. Plan only life's journey, not life's destination.
Yes.
Accept that you are always more ignorant of your ignorance than you think.
Yeah, very important.
Very important.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I love the plan life's journey, not life's destination.
Yes. Well, what's that phrase? It's not about the destination, it's all about the journey.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what he's
Exactly.
saying here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
It's
there is
all
no
about the
final
journey.
destination, right?
But we all know where what the destination is, right? It's how you live it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you cannot know where your path will take you. That is so true, because I mean, I remember a lot of stuff that happened to me, and when it happened, you don't know why those things happen. And now, I said, oh, maybe that led me to the path I am on now, but I didn't know that then back then, right? You just
Yes.
you just follow the path where it leads you, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say that, I'm thinking of how, remember in section 5, he talks about how TBC generates our probability, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, we know what the destination is, and we go. It will, on the TBC, will only calculate so much of our reality up to a certain point, right? And then once we realize it, it'll create more of a simulation for us.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They can only go so far out. And what's interesting is Danny and I had a meeting about our youth program, and we had a 12-month plan. And the last 3 months, I was like, well, you can't really say because
Yeah.
like,
Right. Yeah.
But when I looked at you, Daniel, I was like, you know what I'm saying, right? Like tying it back to the whole probability and
Yeah. I noticed you looked at me, and I kind of like chuckled a bit.
Yeah. I was like, we don't need to get into the whole explaining.
No, come on, tell us.
Yeah.
No, but it takes a lot of courage. No, guys, don't you think, guys? Because not knowing where are you going, and it's easy to say, but when you think about it, it's kind of scary. So
I think that's one of the biggest fears, is the fear of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
So you don't start.
Yeah, you don't start and all that. Yeah.
That's true.
And that's why like public speaking is such a big fear. Like getting in front of so many people and sharing your message and getting it out there is because it's unknown. It's like, what's going to happen? Are they all going to laugh at me?
Yeah.
Stutter? Well, I'm going to make a fool of myself and I won't be able to take it back. Like all these unknown possibilities could happen, and we're afraid of them.
I have noticed with public speaking, when you think about the fear involved there, it's all about you and how you think and feel. Right? But when you change the focus on how can I deliver a speech so that everyone gets inspired or what have you, the fear goes away.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Make it about them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And make it good, Daniel.
Yeah, make it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The very last paragraph I had here, where he says one attribute that makes entertainment so popular is that it occurs at a distance. The one being entertained does not have to participate or get personally involved. Being entertained is a pleasant, safe, secure, comfortable, intellect at a distance activity that requires little effort, carries no responsibility, and therefore generates no fear, guilt, potential for failure, or personal.
I had that too. It's so true. And that's why we all kind of sometimes say, want to be entertained, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's sitting life on the sideline, right? Like, what's the point of us being here if we're just going to sit around and be entertained? We might as well not even be playing in this virtual reality if that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also then not to be like, so we always got to be playing. Like, yeah, we want to take breaks and enjoy ourselves too.
Yeah.
I would like to grow to the point though, I'd like to grow to the point where it's so joyful to actually be playing the game that I don't need to take a break from my life, because it's so much fun to be in the game.
Yeah. But meanwhile, Vanessa, what I say is it's okay because you are aware that you are taking a break. That's the good part, right?
Yeah.
At least you are aware that this is entertainment and you are choosing at this time to be entertained, right? So that's already a big step. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And so my life is pretty joyful and I like to play with it. Though, and you guys all know my one challenge is with my kids. And if I look at when I spend time with my kids, I take them to the movies a lot. And I think because it's like I need a break, time to go get entertained.
Right. And it's okay. I think you have to honor that. That's where things are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
How
Okay.
many
Don't be
kids you
hard.
have?
Don't be too hard on yourself because you're with them doing a lot of things, and this is part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so next page over, 764. I didn't have anything on that page. I don't know if you guys did.
Well, again, he's just the one sentence that I have that is at the second paragraph, the last sentence of the second paragraph in the bracket thing. Yep. He says, he's just repeating, personal growth is an intent, free will, choice making, choice executing, consequence assessing, pudding tasting. Every time I read pudding tasting, I think of you, Daniel. I don't know, because this is the first, you talk so much about the pudding here.
I think next time we meet, I'll have to bring some pudding.
Oh, you do? You have chocolate preferably. No, I'm just kidding. Experience-driven process. I think he really summarized it so well here.
Yes.
Yes. Consequence assessing, that's what we were saying, right? You know, is this good? Is this all right? I changed my choice. Experience-driven process. You know, yeah. So I liked it because I find it's a good summary in just one sentence. Easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just so good.
Yeah.
But you know, when he talked, because it's all about the experience and the choice making and reevaluating our choice. So I was surprised when he talked about assuming fully responsibility for your success or your failure. But it cannot be a failure because it's always a reassessment of what you have done. Mm-hmm. So I guess like the sentence that you read, Mao, a little bit earlier, when everyone is the only one assuming responsibility. Yeah. But he put the word failure, and I was surprised by that word. Right? Because it's not about failing or succeeding, it's about trying it out, no?
It's true. It's a little bit semantics too, though, right? I mean, like, you fail or you pass a test, there's nothing.
Yeah. It's a temporary failure, right? Until you learn better, right? And you make a different choice. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Or maybe we should interpret it maybe like success is optimal and failure is not so optimal or suboptimal. But at the end of the day, everything is success. Just
everything is an experience, right? Yeah, exactly.
So then he just kind of goes on in the book to talk about the next page over. He's being really cheeky, and he's like, my real name's Tom, and I'm actually the big Susan's favorite uncle.
Yeah, I have that highlighted too.
So then the very second to last paragraph, he's like, this is tons of fun, and I'm tempted to go on and on, but let's get to the point. Many people would find my big toe more credible, much easier to take seriously, and less threatening if its origins were fantastical, accidental, or the words of a mysterious, mystical individual, perhaps a monk that has been in a cave for 30 years, or a super-duper guru from a foreign culture. And why? Those sources are easy to keep at an ego-safe distance because they have nothing to do with us personally. They imply no responsibility on our part. This last part, he's like, if this so-called enlightened man is just like us, then he couldn't know that much more than we do, right? If he is, and he does, we should be able to do the same thing, right? Well then, why haven't we? Okay.
Exactly.
what was coming up for me in my ayahuasca journey was like, oh, Tom's the only one who can do it. Like, why can't the rest of us do it? And I think he nailed it right here, that it's always been reserved, it's been saved for these gurus, these monks, these Buddhas. And then when we keep them again on the pedestal, it's like, well, we can never attain that.
Yeah.
But this is the first time, really, that we've ever had someone who's kind of just one of us, you know, walking amongst us, that's able to do all these paranormal, esoteric things. But it is an exciting time to be alive, that, you know, this is coming into play, this is coming into our reality, so that we know that this is possible for us too. We can do these things, we can be that evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, very important. Sure.
The next page over, the third paragraph, or the fourth, he says, I'm beginning to think that knowing the entire answer is impossible. So he's being facetious here.
Yeah.
He says that life is meant to remain mysterious, that we can never know the larger truth. And I remember being at that place too. I think a lot of us have been there, like, you'll never figure it out. You're never going to figure it out while we're alive. You just can't. Like, you know the truth when you die. Like, you know. Were you guys there? Were you kind of like, I don't know, because you guys are truth seekers too.
I don't know. I've been there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always searched. Yeah. What's out there? What's going to happen? What happens after death? Blah, blah, blah. You know, it's always been ongoing forever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On the next page over, he says at the very top, it is a simple fact that everyone has the potential to learn what I have learned, experience what I've experienced, and do what I can do. It may take significant effort and dedication, but it doesn't have to disrupt your life very much. The last sentence, one always finds it easier to generate excuses than to generate results.
Yep.
Right. That's all, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then a little bit further down in the next paragraph, he says, our ego's job is to make us feel comfortable by redefining and interpreting our perceptions and conclusions to calm our fears and suit our needs. The typical ego can be convincing, cleverly subtle, and is extremely good at its job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's why we get fooled a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
And that goes back to Nadine, what the one line that you pointed out earlier in the last chapter about him saying how the solution shouldn't be part of the problem, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the problem is that clever ego trying to trick us, give us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, after that, I have one sentence, you know, he talks about reading this book, and then he says digestion is a much slower, more complex, and more significant process. So I guess, you know, now we are starting the digestion process of his book, really. You know, no, it's true, right?
Yeah.
So it is, he's right on.
Yeah. Okay.
The antacid is on the top shelf right next to the extra strength aspirin.
All right, so chapter 89, you must climb the mountain to get a good view.
Yes.
I had to read this one. Like, okay, so the very first paragraph, the last sentence, a man who will not leave his room because he does not know how or is afraid to open the door is trapped just the same whether or not the door is locked.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So who wants to share what that means in kind of really simple terms?
Well, because we basically, you know, you are trapped in your mind, you are trapped in your belief, in your conditioning. That's what it's telling me, right? You are trapped by your pattern, or whatever your fears and all that. So you are actually, that's what happens. Doesn't matter if it's a free world, you don't feel that you are free, right?
Mm-hmm. For me, it's the door is the door out of your comfort zone. You have to go out to experience what is out there, regardless of whether it's locked or not. You have to have the courage to approach the door and see if it is locked or not. If it's unlocked, or once you open it, then you have the choice of going out there or staying in. But if you're able to open it and take a step outside of that door and experience it, that may lead to more things that you can experience. But if you're always within that room, you're never going to know what's out there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There could even be no door, and you would still be a prisoner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a figment of your imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's what he means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in just getting started in that rap, like just doing it, just do it. Like the door, who knows what's on the other side of that, what's going to be waiting for us. But the only way you're going to discover it is if you get up off your ass and you go out there and you see.
Yeah.
Fear puts so many false images in your head as to what's out there, and it makes it scary for you to go to that door and open it and go through it, right?
Yeah. And what's so funny is most of the time when we open the door, there's no boogeyman on the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh. It wasn't that bad after all.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that the more you do that, the easier it becomes, and it'll become easier to open more doors and just go right through it.
Yeah.
Yes. It's experience, right? It builds your confidence.
Taking action and building upon that, right? It's that motivation and that constant taking action.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the thing about taking action instead of just being. Sometimes, so
instead of thinking of doing it, do it. Right?
Yeah, do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
I guess Nike was right all along.
Yeah. Well, I tell my clients here, I use that spin-off as don't think, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, thinking is the problem. Yeah, for
exactly.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I have this video of my daughter. It was her first day of school. And I'm like, now let's make a video. It's your first day of school. And she's like, okay. And so then I'm like, hey, ready, go. She's like, hi, my name's Nala. And today is my first day of school. And Mommy, can you turn it off so I can think about what I want to say first? I'll send it to you guys. It's so cute. But my point is sometimes we do need a little bit of preparation to prepare ourselves to go out there. And I think that's what we're doing right now, right? It's like preparing ourselves. We're getting ready so we can take charge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't think too hard, right?
Yeah, exactly. It is 2:33. So are you guys okay if we go maybe 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine for me.
Are you okay? You have to pick up your daughter, right?
But it's for you.
Yeah.
For you, Vanessa. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do 10 minutes and then I'll bounce out. Okay. I only had one other thing highlighted from this chapter. What about you guys? What did you have?
I've got a couple.
Okay.
I have the second page, 770, and what? 1, 2, third paragraph.
Yeah.
My big toe is a model that simultaneously makes sense of both your subjective and objective experience, as well as define the ultimate significance of that experience. If you do not bring your experiential data to the table, you will not get as much as you could from section 2 through 5, right? So.
Experience.
Yeah.
It's just the experience, right? What are you getting out of this? and it's Nadine. It all goes down to tasting the pudding, right?
It all goes down to that.
It's your own experience. Like you read it and then go try it out, right?
Yeah. And you're good to remind us, because I think you're more hands-on than some of us, for me anyways. So it's always a reminder, the pudding, don't forget the pudding.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing for people who are always in thinking mode.
Yeah.
And not in action mode, you know.
Yes.
The next paragraph, following that one, I had, and you're probably familiar with this quote because I have it at the bottom of our meetup page, but it's the second sentence. It says, "My intent is to set your mind free to find truth, not to pile on another layer of belief on top of what you already have, or replace one of your current beliefs with a new one. Freedom, spiritual, emotional, and intellectual freedom, provides the necessary environment for learning. Open-minded skepticism is the primary tool you will need to maintain a free mind capable of significant evolutionary progress."
Yeah, I have that too. He sums it really well. He really does.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, very good.
yeah. Did you guys have anything else from the next page?
Well, of course, I like when he said that. What is 1, 2, 3? I think it's you must climb the mountain to get a good view, and that is always true, right? You have to take a step in any situation to be able to you know, have a better view. So I think that was like a kind of a good way to say it. And then I like also, you know, after that, not until the end of the chapter, when, you know, he talks about the drugs and, you know, trying to reach that consciousness with chemical instead of work. It doesn't work. But that was good. Like he put it there. I found it is true.
I was like, I'm so glad I read this chapter now.
Before going to your, I was thinking about you when I read that.
I was thinking you were thinking about me. Like, oh, God.
What's Daniel thinking about?
What do you mean about this plant that you took?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Well, that's not what the drugs that he's talking about.
Oh no, it is what he's talking about.
It is, right?
Oh, it is what he's talking about? Oh, okay, all right, I didn't know. So I was not thinking about you, Vanessa, because I didn't know.
Yeah, I've heard his take on ayahuasca, and he's very much, no, ayahuasca. But
does he know you've taken it?
I'll no, but no, actually, he probably does. I feel like he was there.
If he didn't, he will, because you are recording this.
Only if he watches.
Yeah, funny. But he does say that, it's definitely not good to do on an ongoing basis, because then you have this crutch. But it can help a lot of people to get a glimpse, right? Because if they do it one time and they have this big aha moment, this glimpse of what's available to them, then they can go back to their own reality, their own world, and start getting there on their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you've tasted the ayahuasca pudding. That's all it is, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, closing circle, unless you guys have anything else.
I like the last sentence of the paragraph, or the chapter. Opportunity is everywhere. It is only the gumption and vision that are in short supply.
I have that too, Daniel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't understand the English word gumption. Do you know what that means? I know vision, but I am not familiar with gumption. What is that?
Don't know, actually.
Oh, okay.
I just highlighted it.
So it's not a common thing, a word that we see. I've never seen that gum thing.
My interpretation, I've heard it before because I used to be part of this group that was Girls in Gumption. And it was, and it's all about having, for lack of a better term, having balls to get done, and, you know.
Okay.
Like courage,
like courage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Courage, guts,
Guts,
right.
Confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence.
Okay, confidence. Okay. I don't know why he didn't use one of those words, but it's okay.
That was a very clear definition, definitely.
All right.
Okay.
We laughed a lot this session, eh?
Oh yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, so hilarious. Yeah.
Okay, so closing circle, final thought.
I think this is the most humorous session that we've had with Tom, or, that we've had since the beginning, or since we started. I think this is like the comedy section for Tom.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And we are even more lighthearted because I think we are starting to digest this whole thing a little bit. So it kind of works together.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. It was great. I love it. And I love having Gail and Mao with us. It's so nice to always expand the circle. And it's good, Vanessa, because you have all those contacts.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Hey, but Vanessa, did you mention last session that we should be preparing some questions for eventually meeting with Tom? Is that right?
Yeah, I need to do one thing in my calendar because we're probably going to have about, 3 more sessions to wrap up our club, I think.
Okay.
I think we'll meet next week, the following week, and then we might be done the following week. And then that week after that, I might be in New Orleans. I'm just waiting to see. If I'm not, then I'll ask Tom if he can meet with us on the 7th. But I have to check to see if I'll be in New Orleans or not.
Right.
But yeah, so let's be putting together questions. It'd be great to get him on a call.
I will be away that week. I don't know if I'll be. I'm in Calgary, so not very far. I don't know if I'll be able to connect or not, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Just leave it uncertain. That's live with uncertainty.
Next week is TED for me. I'm not sure if I can attend the meeting next week.
We can change the date, Daniel, but I mean, it has to work for other people.
All of us, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do Saturday, Daniel?
Let me just see here. No, it goes from this Sunday all the way to Saturday, so I can probably do. Well, then the Sunday is when our meeting, right?
We could do Sunday morning, though.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sunday or Friday here? I'm confused here.
Sunday morning. Can you do Sunday morning?
I can do Sunday morning.
Nadine?
Not on the 15th?
Yeah.
Which day? No, that wouldn't be a good day for me.
Okay.
Okay. Monday then? Or do you want to do
the 16th?
Yeah, the 16th.
That works for me. I don't know, you guys.
Yeah, that's okay for me.
Okay.
There is Christine and Gail.
What time were you thinking of doing it on?
On Monday?
Yeah. I got an appointment, but I can change that, so that shouldn't be a problem.
If we do it 10 to 12?
I got an appointment at... Yeah, 10 to 12 would work.
Okay.
How about you? It worked for everybody? Okay.
Yes, it works. It
works for you? Okay. So, I don't know about Gail. Do you know her schedule?
No, but we'll schedule it for the Monday. If not, if they can't make it, us four will, and if they can, that's great.
But Monday is her White Rock meeting, no? Oh, I don't know.
It is her White Rock meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. But let's just tentatively schedule. Because then, like the rest of the week, I'm booked.
You are busy yourself, yeah. Okay. Sure, let's try Monday.
10 to
unless Vanessa, you can see with Gail, we can make it at 1 o'clock. If,
okay.
If it works for you guys, I don't know.
Is that good with you guys to do 1?
Or maybe Daniel.
I've got a call at 2.
No, that wouldn't work then.
Okay, let's stick for 10 then.
Let's stick for 10. Okay, so Monday.
Or 11.
Okay, guys. I gotta go.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Vanessa.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Vanessa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.